Hi, welcome to Walking Wilder. I'm Bart, and this is an intuitive reading. There's a deep message here. A lot of my readings has to do with archetypes and past lives and that type of thing. It's somewhat of a strange, well, not strange, interesting. It's an interesting vibe that these cards are giving me here. The first card I pulled is this one, the Shaman, and it gives me this energy of being very deeply connected to something very, very old. This kind of like, you see how this red snake is sort of floating in space? It's almost like this is going back to the beginning of time, whatever that, I mean, these are metaphors, of course, but it's kind of like there's something very deep here, trying to connect with a part of you. Perhaps it's your shadow that's, trying to tell you something. The card in the mirror, the card in the middle is the mirror. And this gives me the feeling that there's something here that is somehow mirroring a part of yourself, showing you a part of yourself. With this forest thing, it's kind of like it, this being part of nature, this being part of a whole, but also the depth in it. Look at how, dark the bottom of the forest. If you've been walking in the forest, you know that the denser the trees, the less light at the bottom, and it kind of becomes this cave thing that you walk into. And this sort of gives me this energy of, the liveliness of the forest is trying to mirror something to this very deep part of yourself. This shadow thing, this kind of hidden in the dark. This card is the Eight of Swords, which talks about, being stuck in a mindset, being kind of feeling like you can't really untangle yourself, can't really move, not in a literal sense, but, in a, like something is holding you stuck in a situation, a pattern, a way of seeing things, something like that. And it seems to me with this card here that it's like this shadowy side is pulling on you on one side, and this sort of like out in the light part of you, because here's the Sun card, is pulling on the other side, and yet in the middle there's this mirror. It's like your shadow side is trying to show you something about yourself, and your I don't know, regular self, higher self, whatever, is trying to, mirror back to it. It's like it feels like you're on a very deep quest to understand parts of yourself, parts of your soul, of your higher self that's, been around for many lifetimes. And I know that's, a very kind of like a deep message, but that's how it feels. There's like a sense of I want to say gratitude, but that's not the real word that I'm looking for. A sense of kind of like a need to honor this process, whatever it is. All right, Spirit, can I know a little bit more about what's at the core of this for the viewer? Two of Swords here. You might be in a position where you have to make some sort of decision, or there's something that you're not, wanting to see, even though it's like right there in the mirror, metaphorically speaking. Here's the Three of Wands. This is, you connecting to, I always see this as the third eye, you looking ahead to the future, trying to create the vision, the version of yourself that you want to be somehow. Knight of Swords. and the Lovers. This is, it's a very, well, not chaotic in that sense, but it's kind of like an energy that's trying to find its balance somehow. See how, the wolves are kind of chasing each other's tails in this card here. So it's like you keep going around and around and around with something that has to do with the way that you love yourself, or the way you view love, the way you kind of, I don't know, balance something here with the Knight of Swords. See how he's, trying to stay very, very balanced. He's very still. Often the Knight of Swords, it is like forging straight ahead, but it's like there's this kind of quiet energy about him in this. And the Falcon here to me is, very symbolic of being kind of able to view something a little bit from above and not getting so caught up in it, but also, the wisdom of the seeing eye. This is an interesting message, but very, very deep for those of you that resonates with this. I don't think this is going to be a reading for many people. Talk to me a little bit more about this, Spirit. Seven of Swords. So there could be some level of deception here. Perhaps you're deceiving yourself in some way. Again, with the Two of Swords that was at the bottom of the deck, it's kind of like there's something here, a decision that needs to be made, but at the same time something you really don't want to see. Perhaps about the consequences of this decision. I don't know. But this also in this deck always reminds me of, you see how the swords are like crisscrossing there, but it also, this looks to me like, okay, the sun is there, it's right there. So, something is coming into light, something is being illuminated here. And again, with all this darkness here, it's like the light and the shadow having this inner battle. So you might be in the process of discovering sides of yourself that you may not really feel, that you wanted to integrate. It can be not so desirable traits, and I mean, we all have our shadow sides, but it can also be, powerful parts of yourself with these shamanic cards that, gifts, soul gifts that you have with you in this lifetime that that are there, but you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to walk that path again. I don't know if I want to, tap into that. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the challenge here, Spirit. Six of Cups. Yeah. Some of you have memories from past lives where whatever this is, I think for many of you, I think this is, seeing the gifts that you have, the shamanic gifts that you have, whatever your magic is. And some of you have memories that are kind of like, well, that didn't always go over well, witch wound kind of thing. But it's like, Spirit is like, well, it's time to, create this new vision for your future. And how can you create a new vision if you're not willing to integrate, the gifts that you have with you in this lifetime? That type of thing. Tell me a little bit more. Yeah, Knight of Wands. In this particular deck, he always looks to me like he's, in some sort of agony, kind of, yelling at Spirit, going like, why do I, have to go through this dark night of the soul, or why do I, I mean, that type of energy is what he gives me. But, and, he has the fox there, which is, as above, so below. The foxes live underground. They dig the caves that they live in, but they come up at night and kind of, roam around. So, at least where I come from, they have this, or they used to have this, this symbolic shaman type of energy, walking between the realms, walking between two worlds kind of stuff. So it's like, for whatever reason, something that you are intuitively tapping into here, that opening up for all of these gifts have in previous lives maybe not ended well for you. And so there's kind of like, It's almost like you're standing, you're standing on, I don't know, a threshold of having to make a decision. And some of you might not even really be aware that that's what you're doing. It's just like you feeling like you're stuck, you can't really move. And Spirit is like, well, no, because you need to, make a decision here. What are you willing to battle for, to go to battle for? What are you willing to fight for? The Five of Wands here. See how they are, it's kind of like you have these callings, but how far are you willing to go? Here's the Seven of Wands, which is also about defending your boundaries and stuff. So these two cards, it's like you intuitively know that, at least in the past. But now remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way in this life. This can be, with this Six of Cups, this can be past life energy, where it's kind of like, well, I've had to, defend my point of views. I had to defend my abilities. I have to defend, keep my boundaries and all of that. And it may not have necessarily always ended up, with success for you. But see, here's the Six of Swords, and the Spirit is like, well, it's time to walk away from that belief, because it's keeping you stuck. Or maybe not stuck, but it's keeping you from not being as connected. See how, this card always gives me this, image of standing out in the woods, looking up at the universe, just going like, whoa. And it's like you're somehow stuck in a sense of not tapping into everything that you could tap into. I hope this makes sense, guys. If it does, please give the video a thumbs up and write me a comment. Consider, subscribing to my channel, so that helps it grow and more people can get readings, which is really what this is all about. So, but this is a different type of message. It's a very deep message. Four of Swords here, this healing, this need for, I don't know, kind of taking everything in is the feeling I get with it. Finding balance. And see, in this deck, it kind of looks like a portal to me. It's sort of like the balance is within tapping into everything you are, kind of returning to your, your most powerful self kind of thing. Here's the Son of Pentacles, which is the Knight of Pentacles, and it's kind of, Spirit is like, but there's so much more for you to have here. So, more stability, more depth, more, I don't know, more, structure, more good stuff. Here's Four of Pentacles. So, stability, being able to create something really stable for yourself, even though you're including these gifts. Ace of Pentacles here. So this is Spirit saying, you may not realize it, but if you choose, the soul gifts that you have, and mirror them into this world right here, which is grounded and still connected, which is, this seems in balance. Here's the, grounded to the earth, here's the universe, but also the shadow and the light. It's like, if you do that, you are much more capable of creating potential, abundance in your life that is deep abundance, and not, you see how here it's like this hand is reaching out to Spirit. So it's like Spirit is saying, hey, connect with these gifts that we've given you, and we'll help you. You'll kind of, it's like, you're reaching out into to open up, to abundance. And this feels like, with the shaman card here, it feels like it's gifts of some sort, healing gifts, seer gifts, whatever it is that you are blessed with in this lifetime. Can we know a little bit about these gifts, Spirit? bit about these gifts? Okay. Yeah, okay. Build a strong foundation. See, there's the fox again, you know. This is Spirit saying, hey, the foundation is this walking between the realms. You know, you have this ability to see through the veil, perhaps, to, you know, connect with whatever energy it is that you have with you. Here's the faith versus destiny. This is actively choosing, what do I want this life to be, you know? Do I want to just like fate run its course and see what happens? Or do I want to actually create my destiny, you know, with making choices that taps into whatever soul gifts it is I came with and build on that? Here's the seer of the mystery. So yeah, you know, most of you have gifts of some sort where you can, you know, actively, if I could talk, that would be nice, tap into to whatever it is Spirit is trying to tell you. Here's, pay attention to the signs. So there's something here about following the flow in this also, and kind of being guided to something greater than what you might think. It's like, I don't know, it feels like you are somehow overlooking a layer of something, kind of like you're keeping yourself small in a way. And Spirit is like, no, there are more gifts, there are more, you know, more connection, more support. Yeah. Can I know more about the supporting energy here, Spirit? Strength. Yeah, this is you tapping in to, you know, this support from Spirit. It's also you tapping into your own, I'm sorry, my English is not good today. It's also tapping into your own inner strength, your own resilience, your own kind of knowing that, yes, I have, you know, something here worth protecting with the strength card, but also worth kind of walking with, if that makes sense. You see how she's walking next to the lion. It's like walking with all of the gifts that you potentially can bring into this lifetime is huge. There's so much strength in it. There's so much value, I hear. And I don't, you know, necessarily mean that it's, well, for some of you, it could also mean, you know, abundance in the sense of money and all of that. But it's like spiritual value. It's inner strength. It's happiness. It's that, you know, inner peace type of thing. All right. Can I know, what else can I know about this Spirit? Is there something we're not seeing coming here? What don't the viewers see coming in this? Here's the Tower. Yeah, Queen of Pentacles, Four of Cups. See, this is you being like on your throne, grounded, secure, confident, knowing what you want, knowing how to go about creating it, feeling protected with the bear here at her feet, you know, feeling like, hey, Spirit's got my back. I don't have to, you know, worry about pretty much anything. Here's the Four of Cups, which, you know, in this deck, it always gives me this sense of balance between light and dark, light and the shadow, with these two down here being kind of muddy and, you know, not necessarily, it's not that they're bad, it's just they're, you know, in the mud, you don't really fully see them, where these are shining. So these are like the balance of all that's you. It's a different energy in this deck. I always get that. But yeah, there's a Tower moment here. Page of Wands, you know, something to learn from whatever it is that you know, are battling with right now. This Tower moment can also be, you know, this sudden insight, this sudden opening up of a new gift, you know. Maybe you'll learn that all of a sudden you're clairaudient, or, you know, you can tap into energy in a different way than what you're used to, or your intuition is naturally becoming much, much stronger. It's like you know things out of the blue type of thing. There's definitely something here that you're learning. All right, can we get some advice here, Spirit? Two of Swords again. It's time to make a choice. This is Spirit saying, hey, you actively need to choose this. You decide, do you want to claim these gifts in this lifetime? You know, fate versus destiny. Or do you want to just continue on the way that you have been going? Not really tapping into your full potential. Not really seeing everything there is to see in that mirror. Here's the Seven of Pentacles. In this deck, you know, see, yeah, you're working on something here, and you're looking at where have I, you know, how much progress have I made? And there's the thorns on this. So this may not always have been an easy path, but there's also flowers. So the choice really here is, do I want to continue with potentially, you know, some good, some bad, but in the end, seeing my life kind of bloom to a new, I don't know, a new level of some sorts. Yeah, Two of Wands there. Choice. This is about a choice. This is you choosing to accept, to call back in, to realign with all of the shamanic gifts that you potentially can open up for in this lifetime, so that you can mirror, you know, who you are to the world. The light and the dark. There's the Temperance, more balance, but also more connecting to Spirit. Yeah, and the Seven of Pentacles again. Yeah, you know, this might not be the easiest route you can, you know, walk, but my feeling with it is that there's a lot of, yeah, here's the Hermit. For some of you, this is kind of a lone wolf type of thing. You might practice, you know, solitary on some level, but there are soul gifts here, no doubt. Yeah, the Fool. You can choose this new beginning if you want to. Yeah, definitely. I hope it makes sense to you. Yeah, this is a deep message, a kind of a little bit different, but still, you know, it's, yeah, dream your true north when I split the deck there. So there's something about, you have made this pact with yourself before you came here, that in this lifetime you wanted to open up for all of these gifts, whatever they are for you, and do something grand with them, I hear. Whatever that means for you. But it's like, Spirit is like, hey, it's time. You really need to, well, I mean, you've got free will, but you need to decide, do I want to just continue down the path and see what happens, or do I want to actively work with opening up for these gifts? Some of you might need to, you know, step into the hermit mode and learn something new. You might, you know, maybe certain new path is calling you that you want to study or work with somehow. And I would definitely say this is your call to action from Spirit. Follow your true north. Thank you so much for listening. I really, really appreciate you guys. Big love.